Callie Wave, and this is a drawing I did of a desert witch. And it has been a bit since I even touched this, since I interacted with it. This piece was Nightmare Fuel. Nightmare Fuel. Nightmare Fuel! My voice is also Nightmare Fuel at the moment. If I sound nasally, or stuffed in any way, it's because I had to get off my, I had to stop my antihistamines because I needed to do an allergy test, so I've been like this the past week, and I've been itching, and it's been terrible, and yeah, perfect time to record a video, I guess. It's fine. We're fine. We have a good time. Anyway, so this piece took me a very long time to do. As you can see, there's a lot of elements here. It's not only the figure itself, like the woman itself, but I also decided to add 2 snakes into it. And this was the first one that I actually did, digital painting more in, which is insane to think about in hindsight, because I went through it with this one. I think this one, because this is a longer video, this one took me a very long time to do, because there was a lot of trial and error. I was trying to learn things, and I got frustrated. I almost quit this one at one point. That's how bad this was. Well, not really bad, just a struggle in general. And it was crazy. The initial concept of this came from I was watching, I got recommended this YouTuber. I don't watch cosplay videos, by the way, which is kind of strange, because then I got recommended this YouTuber, Miss Twisted. Has 2 extra D's at the end of it. Their tag. And she did a Moss Witch one, which is very beautiful, and I was like, oh, that looks so cool, that would be so cool to do something similar to that. But I didn't want to do something exactly the same, and I kind of wanted to do something different. So my thought process for that was, I was kind of thinking in biomes. What kind of, environment hasn't really been touched witch-wise, and I came up with the idea of, what if it was, somebody in the desert, I was thinking of, the West in the United States. I can't speak for any other deserts. I barely understand the U.S. deserts. I technically only been there once, and it was on a layover in Phoenix, and that was it! And so I came up with this idea of this witch, and as I was going through, I was like, what environments can I do? Because initially I was just thinking desert. I wasn't thinking just doing United States desert specifically. But then I started researching. I think I specifically looked at Arizona, if I remember correctly. I think I specifically looked at Arizona and was like, oh, what animals are there? And it's like, oh, we have the western diamondback rattlesnake. It's like, perfect. How do I draw that? So that was a part of it, was a struggle. It was, not only do I have to learn how to do do I have to learn how to do the witch, not only do I have to learn how to do shadows, I have to learn how to draw snakes. Which, I don't even know the last time I drew a snake. I think it was when I was, in elementary school or something. Because there was a point where I just solely drew animals. But the last time I drew snakes, I think I had, if I remember correctly, I think I had a book that was, all about reptiles. And I would, just draw various reptiles from it. And I remember, I think it was a cobra or something, I drew. And it was really neat. But that was, I think, the last time I did anything, reptilian at all. So this was a big issue. There was a point, I worked so long on the one on the Right, you will see it later. This snake drove me insane because I was doing trial and error. I didn't do any studies for the snakes themselves. I should have, but I didn't feel like doing it. I was lazy. I wasn't gonna do it. I'm like, I'll just learn as I go. And I did learn as I went. It hurt. It hurt a lot. Did we have fun with it? Sort of. Do we like the outcome of it? Yes. Oh, good. It was very, oh god, it was very satisfying once I actually finished it, but when I initially started, it was terrible. And so for this pose, I will say for this snake, I guess it's technically on our left arm, but it's our right side from our perspective. So I'm just going to say right snake going forward because this one I'm going to be saying a lot. That pose, if you're not familiar with rattlesnakes, when I was researching, that curve was like what they do as a defense mechanism. It's like, oh, that looks so cool. Like it's such an cooler like S shape. So I wanted to just like do that because I thought that would be awesome. Like it curled around her arm and just be closer and be like in that defense position. So I did that, and then I made the mistake of trying to do a cowboy hat when I've never really drawn a cowboy hat. Cowboy hats are hard. So I gave up on that and made a wide brim hat instead. I took the easier route for that one. I already had difficulties elsewhere. I was not going to make the hat hard. Plus, it kind of worked out that I did a wider brim hat anyway because I wanted this veil to begin with because I wanted something that was kind of like a protection, I say that in quotes, from the sun. I was like, oh, a veil would be kind of cool, like if it just went around the brim. So having a cowboy hat there wouldn't have made sense as much. Like, I could have done it, but it wouldn't have worked out as well. And it would have had a lot more folds in it because of the way that brim hats are, because of the way that the brim is. And so having it just be just a flat brim worked out way better and way easier for me. We like to make things easier when we don't have to think. Which I did not do with this one. So at least I gave myself a break for that, I guess. And then I started trying to do the coloring. And for this woman, I had plans. I knew I wanted to do cooler skin tones. So that's why I did blue underneath. I ended up keeping this blue underneath when I initially did it. I actually really like this blue. I kind of want to use it as, like, a color in the future. Just for an actual, like, thing. Maybe I'll do, like, Pokemon or something in the future or something along the lines of that. Like, something mythical and use this blue because it's such a gorgeous blue. But it goes away. Well, not really away. It's just the undertone, and that was the whole plan. And this color was very loud. A little too loud for my liking. I do change it later. And I did green for the snakes initially, but then I changed it later to purple. But that was because when I did the snakes initially, I thought I was going to make it more reddish undertones, I think was the thought process I had. But then when I was actually studying the snakes, they're more like grayish, like yellowish. They blend in with the sand for obvious reasons. Like, even, like, looking at films of the snakes, like, you don't even realize that it's there. Like, just chilling next to a plant, and it doesn't even look like, it looks like a rock. Like, it just looks like a random rock. It's like, oh, that's a nice random rock, and then you get closer, it's like, oh, that's a snake. Wait, why are we poking this, why are we trying to wake up the snake? And it's just this, I'm assuming, I don't know why this person thought this. They just walked up to the snake, scared it, and it immediately snapped into his defense mode. It's like, oh, that's terrifying. But why did you walk over and wake up the snake? The snake was just minding its own business. It was just sleeping. We don't need to bother it. Okay, so now we've gotten to the point. Now this point where I've started here. With these shadows. Right before this. I stop fully. And don't work on it for 2 weeks. I think it was 2 weeks. It might have been longer, actually. I struggle with this one because this was the one where I got so frustrated because I was doing the basic brushes initially. And this was when I full stopped and started doing the studies. Like the mushroom study that I posted like a few weeks ago. Maybe even a month ago at this point. Sorry. I'm still trying to figure out scheduling. That'll take time. I'm learning things. And so I did the brushes in that one, then I started working on values and everything, so those will come up after this. Like, I'll post those shorts as well. And so I finally figured out the brushes, and that helped a lot. Like, I feel way more confident with my decision making. I feel way better with the shadows. And I chose blue here, but that's because I was going with those cooler tones. And it worked out really well because I didn't fully think when I started this piece. I was just like, I just want a cool concept, and then just started winging it. It just worked for this one. It worked out very well for this one. I had some concept art ideas, but not this pose. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I probably will post those on... I might post those sketches on Patreon. Because I don't really have anywhere else to put it. I'll post them on there, because this was another one of those 3 a.m. We're just vibing. We can't sleep again. I'm still having issues with that. I slept 4 hours last night. I better get sleep tonight. I'm gonna lose it. I'm gonna start seeing things probably. No, that's not true. That'll only happen if I'm fully sleep deprived. Anyway, so I was a lot more confident with my brush strokes and everything else. And then I started finally using the lasso tool like I should have done beginning. There is a point. I don't think it's here. I think it's later. I just lasso everything. And then I start shading. And I will say this hair was kind of difficult to do. I think it's because I hadn't done hair in a bit, and I never done hair in this kind of like art style, like this more cartoony art style. I say cartoony because it's not realism, and I don't know the word I would use for this because it's not anime either, even though anime is kind of more similar to it, but it's not that either. But I did settle on something because I wanted her hair to be dark, but I was worried about making it fully black because then it wouldn't have any dimension in it. So I made it like a black-brown instead. And then for the skin, I darkened this a lot. What was I talking about initially? Oh, anyway, when I was just because I'm just winging it kind of like I am with this recording. With this audio. When I did this initially, I didn't really plan the background. So, but when I started doing the shading, I was like, oh, I kind of set myself up to having more of a, like, very bright, sun. Which makes sense. This is a desert. But also, I end up going with a sunset theme, which is nice and pretty. I'm proud of myself for. And I'm also kind of proud of myself with this shadow as well, when I did this corset, because the corset was kind of hard. Because anatomically, she's turned, and I don't know if I fully did it properly, but I just went with it and just messed with these shadows for so long. And you can see I did the lasso tool at this point. I finally learned, so I don't have to keep erasing. That was the only reason. It was easier than erasing. But there were points where I was kind of trying to figure out where the light source was and everything, and that hand and where the shadow bounced down to pretty much solidified my shadows at that point. And I'm pretty proud of that. That was a very difficult. And then this is me adding the veil in and then just adding it. Unfortunately, when you do that though, and it happens in real life too, so it's not that big of a deal. When you lower the opacity, it's obviously brightening everything underneath. Which veils kind of do anyway. They kind of like mask it and flatten it a bit. So it's not that big of a deal. It's just one of those things I was like, whatever. It's fine. I'll just do it. And then when I decided to do her eyes, I was like, do you know what would be cool if I made them similar colors to the snake eyes? I just made hers a little bit redder because I wanted more color. And because I felt like if I just made them brown, they wouldn't be as prominent. So I had a little bit more red in there. And I think this is when I start doing the snakes. And these snakes were not easy. I had references on the side the entire time I was doing these snakes. Because I wasn't sure how to do it. This is what I initially started with. I was like, I'll just color it in. Let's see how that looks. I end up hating this. Because the problem is that it needs to look scaly. But it doesn't look scaly because there's no... because scales are very set shapes. And because I did it like this initially, it looks very blurry, and it kind of looks more like fur. So this is really cool in a sense of hindsight for short fur and stuff. I will definitely use this later as a technique. It's like, okay, I can do this with fur later. But I'm so frustrated because I did this all initially, and I was like, I hate this. Because the diamonds just look strange. They're weird. Technically, they're wrong shape, too. When I initially did it. But that's okay. And for the snake itself, it's kind of weird. Because the color doesn't seem to matter for the scales. It's just right on top of it. It's not like each individual one is a different color-ish. It kind of is, but it kind of isn't. It's a little strange. If you were to, look at them. And this was me trying to add in tiny little scales, and it's these are diamondbacks. They wouldn't have this fish scaly even color anyway. I'm roasting myself in hindsight. It's okay. If I can't make fun of myself, what am I doing? What am I doing here? So initially I just had this plan of just doing the face and then just being I'll just kind of do this. And this is the part where it kind of looks more furry. Not furry. Now it looks like fur. Okay, now we got there. I knew it got there eventually, just so it was a matter of when. I ended up doing this whole thing, and I'm like, this is a nightmare. It looks kind of cool, though. But not for a snake. I'm trying to think of what animal this would look really well for. Anything that's a short fur, this would work. This technique I feel like would work. I can't English right now. Jesus. I'm sorry. I feel like this would work really well for shorter dogs or something. Anything like that. And then this is where I just full on stop and I'm like, you know what? Nope. We're gonna do the whole thing. We're doing the whole thing. And I had to map it out for this because there was no way I was going to be able to follow it without, figure out the scales without having lines. So I ended up doing, a whole pattern for it. Kind of like a grid pattern, but not fully because I didn't feel like I needed the sides. I just needed the lines to know where the scales were going to go. That's all I needed. So I just did that. And then I started mapping it, because I had a reference on the side, so I was just looking, I had, multiple references in reality, and I was just looking at them on the side, and I was just like, what do I do? What do I need to do here? There was a lot of thinking involved in this. Unlike right now, where there's no thinking involved in my brain. We had a long day today. Anyway, so, the way that the face is, there are a lot smaller scales. And then it eventually spans out to larger scales. They expand in a way. So the Formation is the same, it's just they slowly get bigger. Except for like those large prominent ones right on the face, like those large circular ones. Those are the only ones that are just like, we are here. And I did mirror it because it's like, there's no way I was gonna do that whole thing again. So I fixed the face there. And then I start working in the rest of it and then start going along the body. I do this full thing in one go. I just did the whole thing because I knew if I had stopped, I would forget, I would forget how to do this because this was messing with my brain so much. And I'm not full, and I know why it was happening is because anytime there's like some kind of pattern for me, it'll mess with my head and it's like, how do I do this to not make it look, because the idea was it kind of needed to look kind of, they needed to flow together, but they didn't have to be perfect because the snake's body is contorting in a way, so it's compressing. So the way the scales work, they like compress and then they expand. So sometimes there's gaps in between, like the very prominent skin. I didn't do that. That was not happening here. But there were points where it seemed like they were too straight, across, and it looked kind of checkered like, so I had to do it in like this diagonal format so that it would work. And like morph it around because they needed to kind of like turn. So that's how I implied the shape, was just, I was just turning them as I went, and slowly but surely, I eventually, and then the belly's in there too, which I do figure out here. That was actually perfect. I forgot when I figured that out. I thought it was later. And then at the bottom, it's just, they just end. And then it kind of just turns it, and then the belly's like a little bit different shape-wise. But I just did lines implying, yeah, this is the belly. This is the part that crawls on the ground. I will say the one thing that confuses me, and I don't know why it confuses me, this has nothing to do with the drawing, this has to do with snakes. How the heck do they climb? How do they climb? They are a noodle. How can they do it this shape? How can they do this shape? Like, they just lift their entire body and they're like, yo, don't come at me. We bite. Which, there was an interesting video I did see. There was another video that I saw where it was somebody, I don't know if this was a study or something, I don't know where it came from, but if you're, I don't remember what I looked up exactly, but it's a side view of a snake, of a rattlesnake in this position, and somebody has a balloon in front of it, and it's like trying to, I guess, get it to bite, and it took so long for it to bite, but at the same time, it's just like, it's just holding that position the entire time until it snaps at the balloon, and it's just like, whoa, that was crazy. Also got crazy how I did the shading too. I was really proud of this shading. This shading was ridiculously bonkers. I was proud of myself for this. Even though I was forgetting the diamonds at some points. The diamondback design of it, I forget it on the other snake too. I forgot a lot of stuff in this one. Like, there were points where I'm like, oh yeah, we're gonna go and do this, and it's like, no, dummy, we gotta go do this again, because we forgot to do a thing. Like, luckily for this one, I did remember to do it, but this took a bit, because I was just trying to make sure that it looked solid, unlike when I initially did the coloration before, because it was way too blurry. Like, you can see it underneath, even with the lower opacity. It is way too blurry. Like, really blurry. But then I did figure it out. I did end up using a different brush for it. And just working my way through, and I ended up making the whole snake darker too, because it felt too... Wait, did I? Yeah, I did. It was just a little too yellow initially when I did it. Like, it looked too sandy for a snake that usually has more of like a rock color, I guess is more accurate. Like, it's not sandy looking. Like, the Western Diamondbacks don't look like sand. They're more grayish, like a grayish brown and tan. So I was like working my way through that. And then the end of like before the rattle itself, it has like black and white stripes on their final like tiny little ends of it too. Which is kind of neat, but was also kind of a little bit more difficult to do. And I'm just darking my darks here because I wanted that head to like really stand out. So I made sure everything underneath was a little bit more darker, a little bit more implied that was like further back-ish. And then there was a point where I had, and I know it was while I was doing this, I had the horrible reality of, I have to figure out the shadow for this on the witch. Eventually. And I remember I stopped after I did this snake, and I was thinking about it for, I think it was like at least like, it was like multiple hours. Like, I went and got food with my boyfriend and stuff. I'm like, I don't know how to do the snake. I don't know. And I was thinking about it in the car. I'm like, oh, if I do this angle, then it would be here. Then it would be on her hair. Then it would be on her face. Because initially I was like, oh my god, it has to be on her face. But it actually doesn't. Because of where the shadow is. Like, the hand's out farther, and that's why it's like down. But it's not going to the side. It's going down. So then it was like, oh, I can just imply it on her hair. And that's pretty much all I really needed. It was like on kind of her neck a little bit. And that was it. And then I just went and darkened more. Partially because of the veil, but also because I was like, I need to go darker. We don't learn how to go darker. We keep being told we need to go darker. So we're going darker. And then we forgot about the eyes. We forgot. Whoops. I did end up making them redder for them too. I did change my mind about that. But it was really cool. And I'm really proud of myself. Like, this looks freaking dope. All these layers and all this trial and error was worth it. I think this was when I realized I didn't have the undercolor for the... yeah, I did... Like, I forgot the thumb. Like, I didn't have the underpaint for the thumb because I realized that looks really pink, and it's like, oh, whoops. Whoopsie daisy, we fixed it, and then went and got the tongue in and made it more dark, and then did it with the corset as well. I just jump around a lot for a while, and then put the background color in. Like, I'm really jumping around, and this was just how my brain was as I was doing it. I'm like, oh, I gotta do this thing, I gotta do this thing, I gotta do this thing, I gotta do this thing. It was just one of those moments where it was just like, oh, I have to make sure I do X, Y, or Z, or else this isn't, like, it was just as we go. And completely ignored that left snake for the longest time. I completely forgot it was there. I'm like, oh yeah, you're here, this little guy. Which is a little guy, and this one was a lot easier because unlike the one that's doing the defensive stance, this one's just kind of up and looking and is wrapped around her arm. So it made it easier than the other one because I didn't have to worry about the scales as much. I did realize on this one though, because I actually had to Google under, like, what does the scales underneath the chin look like, because initially it was kind of the thought process of it might just be just longer lines. It's not. It's similar to the top of the head, it's just white. So I didn't need to worry about that for the right one, but I had to worry about it for the left one. And then this one was a lot faster to do because I was already familiar with the process and I was doing significantly less significantly less of the scales on this because I only had to worry about it for certain ones. And the transition I had to make sure I did properly. And this one was a lot faster because I already knew from the other one what to do. I did almost forget to do the diamond pattern on that one though, which to be fair, I think is because I had the underbelly for most of it. So it was just like, oh, this is nice. This is a nice cozy drawing now, even though it was not cozy at all. This was not a cozy drawing. I almost quit. Only 3 videos in. Goodbye, YouTube. Anyway. Yeah, this one was just a nightmare because there was just so much to think about. I really like it, though. I am really proud of myself on this one, but I did a lot. I did a lot behind the scenes, too, because I started doing the studies and everything, and just, I learned a lot on this one. If anybody can take anything from this, references are a godsend. They will help you a lot, even if it's, like, and not just, like, especially for the snakes specifically. Having videos helps a lot because then you can understand the movement and how things work. And a lot of different angles, a lot of different positions as well. Because I also learned some things from it too, because I didn't realize that for rattlesnakes it was a defense mechanism was them biting. So it's like, oh, this was taking a lot of time for it to pop that balloon. And it's like, oh no, that makes sense. It's probably a vulnerable position. Never want to research further. I wanted to. I was initially going to for this video, but maybe I'll do it later. But it was really cool and really fun to do. And then I started going in this background. And a little cactus. A cute little cactus. I did kind of almost screw up on this too, because I wasn't thinking properly when I initially did it, because this is supposed to be the back because the sun's in the front. And the sun's still up. So I started putting the shadow in front, and I'm like, no, that's not right. But then I started making it just dark in general, because, you know, the sun, like, it's evening, basically. And we're just going, we're just starting. So there's, it ended up working out because I feel like for the lighting, my colors worked out very well because I did use blue and I did use purple. So it looked really, really good, and I'm really, really proud of it. And, yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. And please like, subscribe. I also have a Patreon if you want to check that out. It's free at the moment. I have, like, a tip jar, but it's a work in progress. I'll explain it. I think I explained it in a short that I posted before this. Check that out. Anyway, hope you guys liked it. Bye!